Let the record show that this episode confirms that Dana and the rest of the Owl House crew played Pokemon Sun and Moon and like it enough to directly reference it in their show. What a good day to be a Pokemon fan. This week's Owl House episode, Oh Titan, Where Art Thou, returns us to the POV of the main cast again. Unfortunately, things are still just as tense as when we last saw them, arguably more tense as the events for this episode continue to play out. Let's get started, shall we? The episode opens with King dreaming of our good friend the Collector, likely having this kind of dream in the first place because of the ritual King partook in with the Titan Trappers and the broken Collector Mirror. Not only that, but the area the Collector is imprisoned in is the same in-between dimension Luz had to navigate through in yesterday's Lie, which, looking back on it, fits perfectly since when Luz was in there, she was only able to communicate with her mom and V via reflections around her environments, which is more or less what the Collector was doing when we saw him talking to Belos after the events of Eclipse Lake. However, when Luz did this, she was able to be seen by more than one person and travel to various different reflections throughout Gravesfield. And considering how the Collector was acting in King's dream combined with being trapped in a beast ball looking prison, I doubt he's able to do as much free roaming as Luz could. My guess is, since Belos was the one to find one of, if not the main Collector Mirror back in the 1600s, he's the only one the Collector is able to contact. If that wasn't the case, don't you think the Collector would have tried getting to know people via the shadows / through reflections over the years and not just Belos? The Collector rambles in King's dream about how excited he is to almost be free so he won't be alone anymore. Even getting audibly worried after he heard King and knowing King was about to leave since he was about to wake up from his dream. It's very refreshing to see the side of the Collector's character. We now know he's capable of experiencing emotions like fear and sadness, and he's not just a simple agent of chaos. It's clear all the time being in prison has gotten to him. It makes me wonder if he's not actually excited for life on the Boiling Isles to be wiped out because he thinks it's funny or whatever. I wonder if he's excited because he knows this event will supposedly free him so he can hang out in person with his best friend Belos. That poem he recited in Hollow Mind is making a lot more sense now. We'll play forever, me and you, when you paint the land in non-bright hues. My boy just wants to hang out with his homie. As corny as this sounds, who's to say the Collector didn't try to capture the Owl Beast in the past because he tried to force it into a friendship of some sort? If you guys ever saw Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, the movie Destination Imagination, the Collector's starting to give me major world vibes. Both characters being alone for ages in a barren world, wanting nothing more than company, and willing to do anything to keep said company around. Once King wakes up from his dream, he, Luz, and Hooty make it back to Bonesboro, only to find out all of them, including Ida and Lilith, are wanted by the Emperor's Coven. They're eventually able to make it back to the Owl House, only to find it completely wiped out on the inside, probably by the same scouts who showed up at the end of Edge of the World. It's kind of crazy, they're probably not going to be inside the Owl House anymore for basically the remainder of the series. No Ida or Lilith in sight either. Luckily, Luz finds a secret message left behind telling them to come to the knee. Ida and Lilith are camped out there trying to figure out plans to stop Belos, but neither of them are able to come up with good ideas, which is actually the base for one of the main conflicts for this episode, i.e. Ida not having a plan to take Belos down, so she's trying to enjoy her remaining moments with Luz and King as much as he can before she sends them off someplace where the draining spell will not be an issue for them. Specifically handing Luz over to Rain after Ida's able to get in contact with them inside one of Belos' bases in Latissa. Pretty sure it's the same one Luz and Hunter were around when they first met actually. Ida and Lilith of course learn of King's Titan heritage as well. Lilith in particular starts acting like a total freak around King, acting as if he's a god, wanting to do his bidding and such, which turns King off heavily. He just wants to be treated like a normal guy now. It just goes to show how far King has come over the course of the series. When he was first introduced, all he wanted was to be treated the way Lilith is treating him now. He saw himself as the king of demons who deserved loyal subjects awaiting his every command. But after everything he's been through, everything he's learned about his origin / past, he just wants to live a normal life now. Who would have thought that Steve of all people would help King get over his existential crisis? Steve was oddly in a similar boat as King though. Like how King wanted to be king of demons, Steve wanted to be the best of the best for Emperor Coven scouts. But after reaching the goal he thought he desired for so long, he realized it's not actually all that's cooked up to be. That little outing with Steve was just what King needed. Who else loved when towards their end of the day out, King laid down in the puddle and purposely did the same pose as the Boiling Isles Titan? That was great. Also, Steve looks so handsome. I'm so happy we finally got a face reveal for this character. He kind of looks like he could be related to Matt, same hair color and hairstyle and such. I really love it when characters that start off as gag-like characters like Steve actually become somewhat important later on in the stories. It's very reassuring to know Steve is a core ally for the good guys now. Of course, I can't forget the spat between Ida and Luz. When Luz found out Ida was going to send her away, it was heartbreaking. Luz was low-key questioning her entire relationship with Ida during that section of the episode, thinking Ida saw her as just some weak, helpless human even after all the adventures they've been through together. Even seeing the two of them fight for the first time, only for the truth to be revealed after they got captured that Ida really doesn't have a plan. She accepted her own fate was toast, but wanted to do everything in her power to make sure her kids wouldn't meet the same fate as her. It's truly heartbreaking stuff. You don't know how relieved I was when the people who ended up transporting Ida and Luz turned out to be Rain's anti-Belos Bellows alliance. The people there were Rain, the members of the old Bats crew, Steve, Darius, and Everwolf. Based on everyone that's there, it looks like those 3 Coven heads are the only Coven heads that are in on this plan, which makes me a little sad, not gonna lie. I just really wanted to see more Coven heads be involved in the alliance, even if it's just one more. At least the alliance name was updated from Bards Against the Throne to Covens Against the Throne, making the group the Cats now. Everything has come full circle indeed. Apparently these guys have a specific plan to get around the spell, but said plan isn't detailed by the end of the episode. But now that Ida is actually in on the alliance, and Darius was saying the Owl Lady is one of the main counters to the draining spell, maybe it's going to be something involved with Ida. I'm sure we'll know the skinny by next week. Speaking of this episode's ending, Ida was able to get back the Palistrom wood she had saved for Luz. Luz was still worried about the Palisman not liking her as well, thinking she needs to focus more on stopping Bellows. It brings me back to the events of hunting Palisman when none of the pre-made Palisman chose her. I bet she was still anxious about even the one she makes with her own hands not liking her. I think the 3 most likely animals this Palisman will be based off of are an owl, a snake, or a cat. An owl to match with Owlbert and just the rest of the main Owl House theme, a snake due to Luz having a pet snake back home as well as the S in the Owl House logo resembling a snake, plus the Greek god of medicine known as Acelopus had a snake rod and Luz's mom is a nurse which is involved in medicine. Then a cat which would not only be a good match slash color contrast to Amity's Palisman Ghost, but also fit with her hoodie slash new alliance name. And Luz tends to hiss like a cat a lot. Granted, that could also be applied to the snake possibility since snakes hiss. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought of this episode. What do you think Luz's Palisman animal will be? What's good with the Collector? Is King actually going to get a growth spurt by the end of season 2? I'd love to know your thoughts. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below. It helps out a ton. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Take care. Bye-bye.